The call came in at 5:47 in the morning, and by the time the sun cleared the eastern ridge line of the Colorado Rockies, 3 separate rescue operations had already failed. Interstate 70 westbound mile marker 216. A semi-truck carrying 40,000 pounds of industrial pipe fittings had gone over the guardrail somewhere in the gray hour before dawn, dropping 40 feet into a ravine that carved through the mountain like an old wound. The driver, Scott Langley, 52 years old, father of 2 daughters and husband to Fletcher for 28 years, was still alive down there, barely. The paramedics on scene could see the fog of his breath against the cracked windshield. They could hear him when the wind dropped, but they could not reach him. The cabin had compressed inward during the fall, the roof pushed down by the weight of the trailer twisting above it, and every attempt to establish a cable connection had shifted the rock shelf beneath the truck's rear axle, sending it sliding deeper toward the point of no return. By noon, with the temperature sitting at 23 degrees Fahrenheit and a winter storm building hard out of the northwest, the third crew stood at the edge of the ravine and ran their calculations for the 7th time. The lead engineer was Cole Harmon, 36 years old, Stanford University class of 2010, mechanical engineering with honors. He had a tablet in his left hand and a stylus in his right, running load distribution models since 6 o'clock in the morning. Every model said the same thing. He turned to Sheriff Walt Brody, who had been standing 20 feet back with his arms folded, and said what his calculations told him to say: "It cannot be done. The physics do not work. 73-degree angle, 32,000 pounds of unbalanced load. Soil composition is too loose for adequate anchor points." He held up the tablet so Brody could see the diagrams, the force vectors, and the load distribution curves. "We have state-of-the-art equipment, GPS-guided winch systems, hydraulic dampening, computer-assisted stabilization, and we cannot do this safely. I recommend we contact Mr. Langley's family." Brody looked at him for a long time. He was 62 years old and had been the sheriff of Garfield County for 15 years. He had learned over those years that there was a difference between a man who had exhausted every option and a man who had exhausted every option he knew how to use. He turned away from Harmon without a word, walked to the shoulder of the highway, and dialed a number he knew by heart. The voice that answered was rough as gravel turning in a cement mixer. "Callahan." "Ray, I need you and I need the autocar," Walt Brody said. "Truck down a ravine 40 feet. All the modern boys already tried. How long does he have?" "For hours, maybe less. Storm coming in from the northwest." The line went quiet for 3 seconds. Then Ray Callahan said, "I will be there in 30 minutes. Harmon walked over, tablet under his arm. "Who was that?" Brody looked at him. "Someone who doesn't know it can't be done." The garage sat on the eastern edge of Glenwood Springs, a corrugated metal building with a faded red sign reading Callahan Wrecker Service, established 1979. In the center of the main bay stood the Autocar, a 1948 Model U, the last year Autocar made this particular chassis. Inline 6-cylinder engine. Manual everything. No power steering, no hydraulic assist, no computer of any kind. Just steel and cable. The wrecker boom rose from the rear of the chassis, carrying 200 feet of heavy steel cable. Ray knew every inch of it. He knew how it felt at 8,000 pounds of load. He knew the particular note it sang at 12,000. He knew the exact sound it made. When a strand was thinking about failing, subtle as the difference between a person sleeping and a person pretending to sleep. Ray Callahan stood in the cold bay. He was 68 years old, his hair silver, his face weathered like canyon stone. His hands were the most honest record of his life, scars across the knuckles, calluses built over calluses, and oil permanently worked into the skin. He wore his standard gear, jeans, steel-toed work boots, a flannel shirt, and a creased black leather jacket. Ray walked to a small bulletin board on the wall, looking at an old photograph of himself at 21 alongside his late best friend, Tommy Raines, during their motorcycle days. "Still here, Tommy," he said quietly. "Still trying to make it right." He waited for the count of 3, a strict ritual, then walked to the autocar and laid his palm flat on the hood. "One more. Let's bring one more home." He climbed into the cab and turned the key. The engine caught with a deep rumble that moved straight into his spine. He let it warm up for exactly 2 minutes. Rushing an old machine was a form of disrespect, and disrespect led to shortcuts, which led to failures. At 2 minutes exactly, he put it in gear, the transmission clunking heavy and absolute, and rolled out toward Interstate 70. The drive took 28 minutes. Ray kept the speedometer at 45. Urgency without control was just panic wearing a different name, and panic killed people. Precision saved lives. When he pulled onto the shoulder at the scene, the modern rescue crews looked at the ancient autocar with immediate skepticism. Ray ignored them, stepping down into the 22-degree air. Sheriff Brody met him halfway. Scott Langley swerved to avoid a deer at 4 a.m. Broken ribs, possible internal bleeding. Cabin compression makes it impossible to assess fully. Storm is moving faster than projected. We have maybe 3 hours. Show me, Ray said. At the edge of the ravine, Ray didn't consult a tablet. He read the terrain with his eyes. The ravine was 45 feet deep, composed of loose shale and compacted soil. The semi-truck was wedged between 2 rock formations, its cabin pointed downhill at a severe angle. Cole Harmon appeared at his shoulder. You must be Callahan. The calculations still do not support an extraction. Ray looked down, then back at the engineer. What is the date of your terrain data? September 17th, Harmon said, paused. Updated before the last major operation. When was the last significant rainfall in this section? Ray asked. Harmon's expression shifted. October 3rd, flash flood warning. Why? Ray pointed 18 feet to the left of the primary approach. That section is post-flood deposition. It was not there in September. Your model does not include it. It's large enough to serve as a repositioning point. You pull horizontal first to move the truck to stable ground, then you pull vertical from a better angle with proper load distribution. Field intuition is not a methodology I can authorize, Harmon countered tightly. Then don't authorize it, Ray said simply. You tried your way. Now step back. Brody cut in, silencing the engineer. If we do nothing, Langley dies. If Callahan tries and fails, he dies. The math looks the same either way, except in one version we tried. Clear the area. Ray walked back to the autocar, where Deputy Donna Reeves met him. She was 34, steady-eyed and ready to work. What do you need from me? Control position at the winch, Ray said. I will signal with my hand. 1 finger means slow. 2 means moderate. A fist means stop immediately. If you hear anything from the cable that does not sound right, stop without waiting for my signal. How will I know what wrong sounds like? Don asked. You will know, Ray said. The knowledge is in you. Trust it. Ray opened the rear compartment of the autocar and began pulling his heavy equipment, chains, shackles, and his leather tool belt from 1982. He strapped the belt on and felt the familiar weight settle around his hips, muscle memory taking over as the first heavy flakes of the winter storm began to fall.